Tennessee Tech head coach Dewayne Alexander. The Golden Eagles open the season against Samford. That's Thursday, 6 p.m. Central Time, ESPN Plus in Birmingham. So, Coach, just some thoughts on getting into the season, first game and everything. And we'll see if there are any questions.
Well, we're like everybody this time of year. We're excited to play. Need to play. The Golden Eagles are tired of going against the Golden Eagles. I think everybody gets that way during preseason camp when you don't get to work against another team or another opponent. You just work against each other. So, we've been here since late June. We had summer workouts and then a true preseason camp this year, and gotten classes started. So we're excited and ready to play a really good Samford football team who returned a whole lot of players and had a very successful spring season. So we're playing an outstanding opponent on the road Thursday night, and we couldn't be more excited about the game.
If anybody has a question for Coach Alexander, if you let me know down in the chat, and then I can call on you and I'll just ask questions until then. One more question about Samford, and then we'll come back to your team. They had a quarterback last year, Welch, who's on the Walter Payton list, and he averaged almost 400 yards passing. So can you talk about that? And you know what Coach Hatcher and his teams like to do with throwing the ball.
That's exactly right, and he really fits Coach Hatcher's scheme, very well. His scheme puts a lot on the quarterback to be able to read coverage and make decisions. They'll line up there. They're going to see what you're in, and they know where he needs to go with the football. He's an excellent decision maker. He has the ability to make some plays with his feet when he needs to, but he executes their offense at a very high level. He's a very good player. We did see him, some in the 2019 game that we played with them back in September 2019. He started the game against us in that game. So we've seen him very impressive. I thought he had a tremendous spring season. I mean, he was just outstanding and excellent skill players to throw to, and he certainly will be a challenge for us defensively.
So the last two times you've played Samford, and one was you're the coach, and one was in 2007, though, over 200 points and 2,300 yards of total offense combined in two games. Is that what you expect to see this week? Do we expect it to be a little bit different? Just thoughts on that.
Man, that made my stomach hurt when you said that. Made my head hurt a little bit. Yeah, certainly they're a very good offensive football team and very dynamic. And of course, our game the last time, was a double overtime game. That added to the score total. But I don't know what to expect as far as that goes. I certainly think we're better defensively. I know offensively we want to try to play to where we can keep them off the field some. I think time of possession, anytime you play teams that are hurry up, fast paced, I think if you can keep the ball away from them, I think sometimes your best defense can be your offense. It's going to be important for us to make first downs and to stay on the field and to not let them get into a rhythm offensively, to where they feel like they're always right back out on the field and just kind of like a freight train rolling downhill. You want to try to break their momentum and that type of thing. So I certainly think for us being able to offensively be able to possess the football, keep their offense off the field and from getting in a rhythm, it's certainly going to be a key to the game. But they certainly have the ability to score points. And I feel like we certainly have guys that can put points on the scoreboard too. So I know one thing, it's always been exciting games with Samford, always been exciting games. And I'm glad to have them back on the schedule. It's exciting to have a regional opponent, in an area that we recruit a lot. We have a lot of Birmingham guys on our team. We recruit that area, quite a bit. They used to be in the OVC back in the day when I was an assistant coach here. So, I think it's exciting. I think the OVC, it's good for the OVC to play some regional non-conference games with teams like Samford. We have Furman on the schedule, the next week, being able to play teams like that, I think is important for us. We've played Chattanooga here in recent years. I'd love to get teams like an ETSU, people like that on our schedule. I think it just makes sense for us to get regional opponents. I think it's good for both schools. And I know they're excited about having UAB plays on a Wednesday night in Montgomery, Alabama and Auburn, I think open up on the weekend. So they're kind of hoping to have the Birmingham football market to themselves on Thursday nights. We hope to have a big crowd.
You spoke to this at media day, but how excited you were that football was actually in the fall because you didn't know what to do with yourself last fall. So can you talk more to that now that you've had a traditional preseason camp?
Oh yeah. Well, I sold my boat. Just know that I only had it for like 3 months. So I ended up getting rid of that. This is the same thing. No time to do any of that anymore. So, but it is exciting to be back in the fall. We're looking at some, just game tape and some practice tape and stuff here during fall camp, of us in the spring, and we're out there and everybody's in hoodies and sweatshirts and there's snow spitting and there's big snow piles piled up in the end zone. It's just kind of a weird weird look, but, we were able to have a normal summer. We were able to bring our guys back, have workout days here in the summer. We had, preseason camp, with school starting up normally and that type of thing. There's still COVID protocols around. COVID is certainly still around in a big way, and we're having to make sure that we're smart and doing things we're supposed to do. But it does seem to be more normal than what we've experienced here in the last 365 days. That's for sure.
Something every other coach has gotten asked so far, though. There's been a lot of negative type questions like, is a short turnaround. I want to flip that though. Is there something your team learned in the spring that, you're playing 4 months later that was going to help you? Maybe remembering the playbook, remembering the calls, having that extra experience for your players that will benefit you this year.
It was a positive for us. I mean, I look at it as, we were going to have to play a lot of freshmen in the 2020 season. If we'd have played in the fall of 2020, we had some freshmen that were going to factor in and have to play, for example, like a Jaron Gilmore, who started every game at corner for us as a freshman. So anytime you're starting a freshman at corner, you're always concerned. So he got to play in the spring and start 7 ball games, Now he's still a freshman and he's going to start, against Samford, but he's a freshman who has played in 7 college football games against OVC, FCS competition. So he's a seasoned player, he has experience now. It's really, that's really helped. We had 15 freshmen that we played during the spring season that played a lot of football or started games. So that experience is game experience is much more experience than what they'd have gotten if they just went through a spring practice. If we hadn't played any football against another opponent in the 2020-21 year, I would be a lot more concerned. It really helped us. And I look at it this way. You have spring practice. Most people that have spring practice, they don't have spring games until April the 10th. Anyway, we played our last game April 10th. Some teams will have a spring game as late as April the 17th or 18th. That's pretty common. You're going out and doing a lot of physical work and you're practicing 15 days in the spring, so, you're doing scrimmages and that type of thing. So, I mean, I look at, having a season and a schedule really to be not a whole lot different, than having spring practice, maybe a tad. We were smart, gave our guys off. I think it's much different. We'd have finished up in something crazy like June or something and then turned around and tried to play. But we finished April the 10th, gave our guys off to take care of academics in April and May. We didn't bring them back till June the 20th. And they were ready to start back and ready to go. So I've not seen any signs of our guys being weary or tired. I do see for the first time mentally and physically, I think our guys are as close to being where they were at before all the pandemic stuff hit back in the spring of 2020. It's the closest I've seen them to where they're able to consistently go out, practice, handle the mental and physical part of practice where you feel like you can have normal meetings and normal practice and it not just be wearing your guys down. I've really seen to where I feel like they're back to where they were at or close to being back to where they were at prior to all the pandemic stuff hitting.
We have time for one more. Ben just joined us. Ben, I know you have a question. We'll end with you and then we'll transition to our next coach. So go ahead, Ben.
I'm sorry I missed some of the time here, but Coach, when you look at Samford on film, what are some of the things that jump out?
Well, very fast on offense, because Coach Hatcher was at Murray State, while I was here with Coach Brown. So very familiar with Chris and what they do. Mitch Stewart's now the offensive coordinator down there. Mitch was the head coach at Murray. So, it's their style of offense, the fast paced, going to try to get a lot of plays in, put a lot on the quarterback. They have excellent skill players. All the touches of the ball are outstanding. Their slots, their wide receivers, are explosive in the kick return game. I think it's the most experienced and best team that Coach Hatcher's had since he's been at Samford. He has a very experienced quarterback who really had a great spring season for them. So they're going to be a outstanding opponent. They won 4 Southern Conference games in the spring. Anytime you win 4 football games in the Southern Conference, you're a good football team. So we'll have our hands full, but I feel like defensively we have a lot of good depth. Defensive front, defensive line. We're going to travel 12 defensive linemen, play all 12. All 12 guys are good football players. We're the most experienced at corner that we've been. We're starting 2 grad players at safety that have played a lot of football in our system here, Marcus McMeans and Josh Relaford. Both those guys have played in a ton of games here over the past 3 years. So, I feel good about where we're at defensively. And, to me, it's all going to boil down to how we play offensively. Can we take care of the football in this game and in any first game? Who's going to take care of the ball, and just eliminate some of the self-inflicted things. I think if you can just play a good, clean football game, and whichever team plays the cleanest game in this game is going to have the best chance to come out ahead.
Ben, do you have a follow-up? We can do one more. We're still waiting on Coach too. So,
He pretty much hit everything I needed him to.
well, Coach, thank you for your time this morning. Best of luck on Thursday. We'll talk to you next week.
Good. You can ask me something about Coach Tuke. I'll talk about him. All right.